Hi guys. Hey.
Hello, how are you?
Hey, good, thanks. Right, I'm gonna get started. I'll start with you, Laura. These characters are very kind of complex, interesting characters with great kind of backstories. I just wondered if there was lots for you to work with, kind of even off the page, if you really kind of delved into the character's whole kind of background and her history.
Absolutely. There was more to work with off the page than there was on the page, which is always a massive draw in playing any character. You know, we don't reveal very much early on about who Amalia is and where she's come from and what's really going on with her psychologically. And so because of that complexity and because there's so many layers to her, that I got to dive into and decide, you know, what to peel back in order to show the audience, in order to show the other characters. What does she keep hidden from herself even? You know, what is she trying to not let to the forefront of her mind? And the complexity of that character is what really drew me to the job, because of course, that's what any actor wants to be able to get their teeth in, but especially as a woman to find a character that is as layered as that is a rare thing, and to get to do it alongside amazingly complex other female characters at the same time it practically never happens.
Yeah, and I mean, you've got a great rapport, you two, kind of on screen. I know there's only one way to answer this question, really, but I was going to ask you about how well you guys got on, and if it was kind of instant kind of thing where you just met and it just felt like just a kind of instant kind of rapport between you.
Oh yeah, well, I mean, Laura Donnelly, she's a real troublemaker. Yeah, right away we got on. I mean, I don't know if it's us being Irish, but I mean, my second audition ever was was with Laura. It was a chemistry read with the person that they wanted for the main character, and I couldn't believe it. And I was so nervous. I remember pacing up and down outside the building before I went in. And then I went in and there was just this Irish woman on the other side of the door. And I was like, oh, hello. And so that felt very natural right away. And I think me and Laura's relationship is quite similar to Penance and Amalia, which is handy. And Laura definitely has given me some looks that Amalia gives Penance from time to time. I think it's a real... I love working with Laura. She's like my favorite kind of actor to work with, someone who's so seamlessly able to just go into the scene and you're like, whoa, it's happening right now. So that I think I trust her to bits, because there is something funny about two Irish women taking on a massive HBO show, and we do feel like we're taking something massive on together. And I think Penance and Amalia are taking something massive, slightly higher stakes, mind you, but definitely, quite a big mission at hand.
Just before I go, I've got one more question. I was ask you, Laura. Of course, I mean, obviously, Joss Whedon's been behind the series, or some of it at least, and it has that kind of Buffy imprint, the DNA of a well-made, female-led supernatural TV series. I just wonder if you were a big fan of that show growing up, and was having that sort of pedigree behind the lens another incentive to get on board?
The quick answer is no. I had not seen any Buffy. I hadn't seen anything that Joss had made, and when I knew that I was going in to meet him, I had seen Toy Story. But when I knew I was going in to meet him, I watched the first two Avengers films the night before, because I thought I should probably know something of his work. But of course I knew of him. I actually knew more about the rest of the team behind it. So many of our producers, execs, and so many of the creatives behind it were in fact people who saw Game of Thrones through from start to finish, and I had watched and been a huge fan of Game of Thrones. So that, of course, the pedigree of the crew as a whole was a massive draw, because and I would say that the number one draw of it was the fact that it was HBO, because I've loved everything I've ever watched on HBO, and it's been a long held ambition of my career to be involved at all in an HBO show, never mind leading one up. So that was a no-brainer.
Cool. Well, now you're on HBO. You've done it. Yeah.
We'll be evaporated into the clouds after we're done now.
I'm fine with that.
Thank you so much for your time today. Best of luck with the release when it comes out.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Bye.
Ladies and gentlemen, you're watching Hey You Guys!
Hey You Guys, huh?
Hey You Guys.
Is that from the Goonies?
It is indeed, yes.
Nice.
Hey